With scientific accuracy, the start to the 2018 spring sports season in South Dakota has been the worst ever, or at least since people began to keep records of such things. Meteorologist Brad Temeyer of the National Weather Service can tell you that Washington high school runners who have used the street by his house for hill training haven't been out there nearly as much this April. Or, because he does what he does, he can get more specific. It's the coldest start ever to April, Temeyer said. And it's not just a little bit colder, it's 2.3 degrees colder than the first 9 days in April on record. We averaged 26.1 degrees over the first 9 days of April. In 1899, the temperature averaged 28.4 degrees. That's the second coldest. We're talking about a significant cold snap, no kidding, would be the sardonic reply from hundreds of athletes and coaches involved in spring sports who have been forced to wait, not so patiently, for this part of the world to thaw out and warm up. With Mother Nature promising another 8 to 12 inches of snow on Saturday, dozens more games, meets and matches have been claimed as casualties. Autoplay show thumbnails show captions last slide next slide. The thing that is the most frustrating is that the weather has been so bad for so long that teams can't even get in a good week of training, said Sioux Falls School District Activities Director Mark Mile. Usually in the spring you'll run into a good week of weather here or there where you can get in some practices, but this year basically everybody has had to go indoors. We have great indoor facilities in this town, but you still need to get outside. The Lincoln track team, for instance, had 5 meets canceled prior to this weekend. On Thursday, more than 50 Patriots went to Omaha, where the school never goes for track meets, in search of an opportunity to compete. In fact, the weather has been so bad that several local teams missed out on 2 indoor meets because the competitions took place on days when travel was discouraged. Our season is 7 weeks and we're running out of days, said Lincoln track coach Jim Dorowski, whose Patriots won both the boys and girls state meets a year ago. We've got a good team, a deep team, and it's frustrating, but the kids have a good attitude about coming to practice every day, so that's a plus. Rise and chilly on Tuesday afternoon, the sun was shining with temperatures climbing into the 50s at the Lincoln High tennis courts. The Patriots and Roosevelt were about to get going for their first match against each other for the season. The courts were spotless with melting piles of snow dotting the grass outside the fences. Not exactly a perfect day for tennis, but in the spring of 2018 the standards have been adjusted. You certainly don't have any arguments with the kids about whether or not we're going to play if the weather makes it possible, said Roosevelt coach Terry Grove. Normally you might have a few whining and complaining about it being too cold. Right now no one is complaining. They're just glad they can be outside playing tennis. By photo fans bundle up while watching the Flight 1 doubles match between Lincoln and Washington on Wednesday at Lincoln. Recent weather has made it tough on schedules for spring sports. Photo, Michael G. Brown, for the Argus Leader. There was a reason for the pristine courts. The Patriots had used some of their practice time Monday to clear snow off the playing surface. We didn't expect to be shoveling this spring, said the Patriots' Jonathan Nash, who coach Tom Kruger referred to as an overachiever with a shovel in his hands. It was a pretty good workout for the beginning of the season. It was also a team-building enterprise, according to teammate David Mickelson, another of the Patriots whose star burned bright during the snow removal project. The people with the bigger shovels cleared away the larger patches. Mickelson said, the people with the smaller shovels got what the big ones left behind. And we also had squeegees out because the snow was melting. And after the snow was gone, we squeegeed the whole court. We had a pretty good plan. Humor can be the best medicine in this instance, though it doesn't go far in helping to reschedule postponed events. It also doesn't help when competitions are canceled entirely because future scheduling options are getting wedged through a window that gets smaller by the day. We already backload the season in tennis, Kruger said, so there aren't that many open dates. It's just really tough to get things rescheduled, especially when you're playing 2 teams a day. You end up having to break them up on different days. It's a mess. Out in the cold, nowhere are the obstacles more obvious than in spring golf for high school girls. To begin with, many involved are swinging clubs for the first time in a while when practice starts. Secondly, no other spring sport demands a higher level of cooperation from the weather. As much as he'd like to, O'Gorman coach Tom Jansa was not able to send his Knights out to shovel off 18 holes on Monday. Will he be able to next Monday while the rain melt begins? By photo fans wear several layers to keep warm while watching the duel between Lincoln and Washington on Wednesday at Lincoln. Photo, Michael G. Brown, for the Argus Leader. Golf is a little unique in that regard, Jansa said. A lot of kids have been waiting to take their first swings of the year outside. We've had 2 weeks of missed practices and that's after they moved the season up 2 weeks. In its place, Jansa has spent time with his team going over rules and strategies. It's time constructively spent but far from the real thing. It's not a replacement for getting out and hitting golf balls. Jansa said, "We'd like to get in qualifying rounds, maybe 3 or 5 warm-up rounds, but we could be in a situation for some of these kids where playing in a tournament could be their first round of the year. That's a little weird." Toughing it out from February 3rd to March 17th, the Augustana University softball team reeled off 17 consecutive wins. Some of those games were indoors, some were in Florida, and some were in Kansas. But the Vikings aren't in Kansas anymore. A great percentage of games since returning to Sioux Falls have had to be played either on a different day than originally intended or at a different site. I've Notre Dame 2018 was a bus ride to Minot, ND, to play indoor games at 9 and 11 p.m. We've had 2 practices on our field all year. Augustana coach Greta Melstedt said, "The kids have spent a lot of time in the hitting building and we've been able to work a little on defense, but we'd really like to have a normal practice. Consider that the Vikings have been comparably fortunate." Bowden Field has been site to several games so far where both teams were from somewhere else looking for a patch of dry land. By photo, Augustana softball fans bundle up in jackets and blankets during the game against Southwest Minnesota State Wednesday, April 11th, at Bowden Field in Sioux Falls. Photo, Brianna Sanchez, Argus leader. "You just can't get in a groove," Melstedt said. "We had a groove going with 17 wins in a row, but when we came back, we just haven't had any normalcy." The coach has encouraged a tough-it-out policy with players over the years and can reel off examples of enduring ridiculous conditions in the name of getting games in. Some years, tapping into that philosophy is not necessary. Other years, with 2018 being a prime example, it comes close to defining a whole year. We try to get our kids to understand this is the way softball works, Melstedt said. They know they might have to change plans quickly where we'll have to play the next day or go somewhere we didn't think we were going to have to go the next day. We try to wear it as a badge of honor that we're going to have the advantage in those situations because we handle these things better than other teams. At its best, springtime in South Dakota is a disinterested partner in facilitating outdoor sports. At its worst, it's an openly hostile one. This is one of those years. While over the course of a summer things tend to even out, those who want to start a season in April and end it in late May or early June don't have the luxury of waiting. More discouragement looms ahead. The extended forecast doesn't indicate a high temperature of more than 44 degrees until April 21st, with several days in between promising precipitation in one form or another. It's frustrating for coaches, for the kids and for administrators as well, Miles said. "We're just going to have to roll with the punches and make the best of it. Hopefully we'll have a great last couple weeks